Hey everybody, before the show starts today, I just wanted to take a quick second to mention the fine people at rhymeswithgeek.com. I made contact with them this week and they have been kind enough to allow me to put my little podcast up on their website. Once again, it's rhymeswithgeek.com. And if you're interested in comic books and comic book podcasts, that's the place to go. Rhymeswithgeek.com. They're good folk. Greetings, Alpha Citizens. This is Craig Allen, and these are tonight's top stories. Revelation Engine captured by anti-gods. Captain Stupendous and Empyrean battle for the past. Presto prepares for the Master of Id. Sentencing hearing or wedding? Why not both? All this and more on Alpha City News. From Alpha City, the home of the superhero, comes the only news program that gives you all the super news all the time. Alpha City News with Craig Allen. Troubling word has come in from Johnny Munson, boy photographer. Munson has spent the last few weeks traveling with the Neo-Deities, Izar, Exegesis, the Infinite Kids, and their protector, the Forever Man, while they searched for the Revelation Engine, one of the 7 great artifacts of Urmond, the reality that existed before ours came into being. That last communication from Munson showed the Neo-Deities locked in combat on a barren planet under a blood-red sun, facing their mortal enemies, the anti-gods, led by their lord Abraxas the Form Destroyer. Both factions seek the Revelation Engine, but the anti-gods, should they lay hands on it, would use it to subjugate the entire universe. This makes the news that the anti-gods have secured the engine and are returning it to their homeworld of despair truly terrifying. Photographs included with Johnny Munson's report show the Neo-Deities, bloody but unbowed, watching the retreat of Aunt Agony, Mathangazar the Silent, the Deathling Knights, and Abraxas itself, having won the battle for the barren world. But their victory was soured by the news that Graknar, son of Abraxas, had secured the engine from the center of the blood-red sun while the Neo-Deities were occupied. It seems that the Neo-Deities will have no choice but to perform a frontal assault on the stronghold of their greatest enemies. Even as we speak, the planet of despair is about to be engulfed in a war unlike any we have known, with the freedom of the universe itself in the balance. While the Neo-Deities and Johnny Munson fight for today, Captain Stupendous and Empyrean find themselves in an equally desperate battle for yesterday. Insiders report that Empyrean and the Captain left Point Singularity, Empyrean's base at the center of time, for the distant past, when all of the Earth was the domain of Rama Ultra, the Atomic Pharaoh. It has long been the aim of the Atomic Pharaoh to extend his empire's rule of our planet from its very beginnings in the past to the future moment when our sun, expanding into a red giant, swallows the entire planet in its unquenchable solar fires, billions of years from now. Rama Ultra has tried numerous times to alter the future past, from fielding world-girdling armies to changing the life of a single individual, all in an attempt to stave off the end of his iron control of the planet, so as to make all life bow to him as God King forever. Both Empyrean and Captain Stupendous have faced Rama Ultra before, with the Captain even having his own timeline diverted once, briefly becoming the Atomic Pharaoh's henchman, the No March, before the Hero Union managed to reset time to its proper course. If reports are to be believed, the Captain and Empyrean are going to be heading into a much-changed past, where Rama Ultra has somehow managed to extend his reach backwards to the very cooling of the planet soon after it was done forming, and outwards to a huge section of our galaxy, while all previous iterations of his empire were limited to the Earth. Should these changes be allowed to stand, Professor Angstrom, head of Eisner University's Department of Temporal Physics, theorizes that a wave of actuality will move forward in time, altering everything that we know to conform to a new history. How long this wave would take to reach our time is unknown, but the professor at a press conference Rama Ultra is all. Rama Ultra is all. Rama Ultra gives. Rama Ultra removes. Rama Ultra hears all, sees all, knows all. Rama Ultra feels the heresy inside of you. Rama Ultra hears you pray for forgiveness. Rama Ultra knows you lie. Rama Ultra condemns you. Rama Ultra is all. Possible we won't even know when the changes come, as these changes will have existed all along, overwriting the history we know. A terrifying thought indeed. Presto the Witch, meanwhile, is defending us in an altogether more ethereal realm. Red Warlock reports that she has left our plane of existence, traveling to the fields of human subconscious, where all human minds are interconnected. Presto had been warned by the sage that some sort of miasma was spreading through the realms connected to the deepest part of the immaterial world, threatening to taint our collective connection to the so-called supernal sphere. Should this occur, beings of unknowable origin and malicious intent could find their way into the orbit of the human psyche, affecting our entire species, causing an immense amount of psychic damage and insanity. This miasma seems to bear the hallmarks of the Master of Id, who has bedeviled magical heroes for almost a century. First facing the Prestidigitator and Sebastian the Great in the years before World War II, the Master of Id was originally a cult leader who espoused a credo of chaos and lawlessness, of allowing the id, the part of the human mind controlled by base desires and needs, free reign, unchecked by any authority. The Master of Id sent his minions to strike at society as a whole, seeking to tear down the mantle of civilization mankind had built, to be replaced with a world where every urge could be fulfilled, every whim, no matter how horrible or destructive, could be catered to. The Master of Id appeared to die several times, but always managed to resurface and recruit new minions, wreaking havoc on the world at large until the late 1980s. Presto, only 3 years into her legendary career as Mistress of Magic, worked with Mr. Sebastian If and the inimitable Mr. Feng to destroy the so-called Soul Farm, where the Master of Id and his followers were using disturbing magics to grow the spirits of captive innocents into strange forms, to be used for a rite which would allow the Master of Id to spread anarchy over the entire world. While the ritual was disrupted, the three heroes unwittingly played a part in giving the Master of Id what he truly wanted, namely to shed his decaying body and continue his work as a free spirit, unfettered by time and age. Relieving himself of his mortal coil has allowed the Master of Id to strike at humanity on a metaphysical level, striking at the underpinnings of sanity itself, rather than at society in general. One thing is for certain: the Master of Id is not to be underestimated, and Presto goes into battle against him on a plane where thought itself is a weapon, and where she is far from help. It's rare that a sentencing hearing is anything other than a heartbreaking experience, with friends or family members being given prison terms that mean years of separation and heartbreak. Today was different, though, as Simon the Subterranean Stone stood before Judge Willa Oates to receive his punishment for crimes committed in the mid to late 70s, as well as new charges of reckless endangerment, willful destruction of property, and disturbing the peace, all stemming from Stone's destruction of Restaurant Row hotspot Basidiome some months ago. Though the judge handed down a sentence of 10 years in Maryvale Prison to begin immediately, Stone remained stoic in the face of the decade of incarceration, no doubt because of the presence of John Maldeef in the courtroom. Maldeef, once upon a time known as Toadstool John, the Mushroom Man, once upon a time a partner to the Subterranean and the Clockroach in their attempts to destroy or control Alpha City, has been a steadying influence on Simon Stone since the moment Stone returned to the public eye, destroying the restaurant partly owned by Maldeef, in a rage over what Stone saw as Maldeef's betrayal of the revolutionary ideals of their shared youth. Maldeef, far from being angered by his erstwhile friend's actions, has been a beacon of hope for Stone, taking every opportunity allowed to visit Stone during his incarceration, and helping him to adjust to and understand a world that had changed much during Stone's years of self-imposed exile underground. The impact of the changes on both Stone and Maldeef became obvious when, following the sentence being handed down, Stone was not removed from the courtroom immediately, but instead found himself face to face with John Maldeef, who, to the applause of the gathered crowd, went down on one knee and asked Simon Stone to marry him. Stone, very much in shock, was informed by Judge Oates that, should he accept, she was prepared to perform a ceremony right then, and she was as good as her word, stepping down from the bench to stand in front of the two men and allowing them to pledge themselves to each other. In the brief time reporters could ask questions of the pair, Simon Stone seemed unable to speak, though his tears and broad smile spoke for him. Simon has been my partner and the light of my life since we first met, John Maldeef told Lindy Johnston. The hardest years of my life were those when I was separated from him. I wanted him to know, wherever he is, whatever time he might have to spend in jail, I will never not be with him. And when the day finally comes that he is free, I will always be by his side. Society has moved past the time where love such as ours was shunned, and it is well past time that he and I can be together without anger towards the world, but only with love for one another. Sharing a last kiss with his new husband, Simon Stone Maldeef was no doubt happier than any other prisoner about to begin a term of incarceration has ever been. It seems that love truly does conquer all. Continuing the vein of good news, the Plague Doctor has been found and subdued by the Looking-Glass Man, with an unexpected assist from Rita Marquez, the Plague Doctor's last kidnap victim. Ms. Marquez had been captured and held by the Plague Doctor for several weeks, allowing the Doctor, real name Gray Kendall, to infect her with some sort of tailored illness, which the Doctor hoped would jumpstart the next Black Plague. Whatever the Doctor infected Miss Marquez with did not have the effect he hoped for, however. We reported last week that Dr. Kendall had released Miss Marquez to allow her to infect as many Alpha citizens as possible while he beat a hasty retreat. But we have since discovered that Miss Marquez had managed to free herself. The concoction Dr. Kendall used on Ms. Marquez appears to not only be non-transmittable, but seems to have improved her physical condition greatly. Ms. Marquez has apparently been a sufferer from asthma all her life, as well as being prone to serious bouts of pneumonia and bronchitis on a regular basis. Not only does she report being able to breathe clearly for the first time in her life, but she was able to breach the cell in which she was being held by pure strength. It seems to have caught the Plague Doctor off guard, causing him to abandon his hidden laboratory mere moments before the Looking-Glass Man discovered it. Seeing Ms. Marquez in pursuit of Dr. Kendall, the Looking-Glass Man, assuming the bad doctor's plans had come to fruition, then alerted city authorities to possible danger. Unbeknownst to either the Doctor or the Looking-Glass Man, Ms. Marquez, well aware that she could be carrying a very dangerous disease, located and donned a full biochemical protection suit, allowing her to pursue the Doctor while hugely reducing the chance of transmitting any disease to any unwitting Alpha citizen she might come in contact with. For almost 24 hours, the Looking-Glass Man and Ms. Marquez hounded the Doctor, preventing him from making an escape from the city, unwittingly working as a team to frustrate the Plague Doctor's plans to relocate and begin his horrible experiments anew. Both Ms. Marquez and the Looking-Glass Man were finally able to lay hands on Dr. Kendall as he attempted to board a train leaving the state from a station in Northside. Ms. Marquez, coming upon the Doctor first, kept the Doctor occupied, allowing the Looking-Glass Man to sneak up and keep the Doctor from using his needle gun to infect any innocents with his diseases. The Looking-Glass Man then secured the Doctor within a nearby mirror until he could be handed over to the police. Ms. Marquez, physically without any injuries from the ordeal, has been moved to a clean room at Fellows West Side Hospital, where virologists and other specialists will attempt to discover what the Plague Doctor infected her with and if it is communicable. Staff psychologists at Fellows have already begun working with her to repair the mental scars this horrible chain of events may have left. The Looking-Glass Man has said that she seemed in quite high spirits, having helped to capture her captor, which we here at ACN hope is a good sign for her future. And now for this week's Super Combat Scorecard. Logjam fell before the mighty axe of the Woodsman. Wildman used his headband of camouflage to good effect, stopping a group of smugglers trying to get endangered leopards out of the country. The Iron Hand was covered by Velvet Glove. Rock Hardman, the hero, not the adult film actor, stopped the Swag Man. Pale Blue Monday turned off the Devil's Microwave. Hellbrain annoyed Hugo Reese but escaped capture. Bullfrog outleaped Long Jump. Skunk Cabbage fouled up the Olfactory Man. Snake in the Grass got caught out by Sidewinder. Helicoptera had a rematch with Jetpack Jones, losing for the second time. The Brobdingnagian and the Lilliputian could barely see one another, but fought anyway. Minnie Moose proved more than a match for the dunce. Caber Toss and the Batsmen had a wood-throwing contest. The Batsmen led on distance, while Caber Toss led on size. You've been listening to Alpha City News with Craig Allen. It's produced by Carter Lee. Sound beds are provided by newsbeds.com and additional music by Antonyme. That's ANTONYME on SoundCloud. Alpha City can be found on iTunes, rhymeswithgeek.com, Libsyn, SoundCloud, and won't you please rate and review us? If you have questions or comments, please send them to alphacitynews@gmail.com. Until next week, have a super day.